Western Pacific Ocean, 2027. The President of the United States plane, known as Air Force One, flies at night towards Guam. On board is the President, flying straight into the heart of the crisis around Taiwan. To the outside world, it looks like just another routine diplomatic trip. In fact, this airplane is the most secure aircraft in the world, designed to transport the President and ensure government operations even if Washington ceases to exist. But deep in western China, a mobile launcher is firing rockets. One rocket ascends into the sky, then another. These are hypersonic rockets. Fast, hard to track, and meant to break through defenses, they are now in the air. For several minutes, they will rush across the Pacific Ocean, aiming for Guam, and the plane flying there. So the question is, can the most protected airplane on Earth survive an attack by hypersonic missiles? And a small reminder, this is a hypothetical scenario, but I tried to make it as realistic as possible. Thank you. Aviation number 1, officially called VC-25A, is not an ordinary Boeing 747. It is designed so that even a powerful energy surge cannot disable its electronics. On board, there are secure radio stations for controlling nuclear forces and a refueling system that allows remaining in the air for several days. Inside, there is a small hospital room, a complete command center, and everything necessary for the functioning of presidential power, regardless of circumstances. The plane is also equipped with built-in defense systems. Sensors monitor the glow of missile launches. Jammers drown out enemy radars with static noise. Clouds of metallic strips create false radar targets larger than the aircraft itself. Candles burning brighter than the engines distract heat-seeking missiles. But all this has one goal: to gain a few seconds. Seconds sufficient for the broader U.S. defense system to intervene. The threat heading his way is very real. China has 3 types of missiles within reach. The DF-17 carries a hypersonic glide vehicle. It flies at a speed of 5 to 10 Mach, gliding along the edge of space and maneuvering sideways before aiming at its target. The DF-21D, dubbed the Carrier Killer, is a medium-range missile with a guidance system that controls its descent at the last moment. The Boeing 747 is smaller than an aircraft carrier, but it is still clearly visible on the radar. The DF-26, often referred to as the Guam Killer, can strike a target from almost 4,000 kilometers away. A pair of missiles launched at Andersen Air Force Base could destroy the runways, while others target the president's aircraft. At such speeds, even a near miss could tear a passenger plane apart. A direct hit guarantees death. However, aviation number 1 is protected not only by what is on board. It flies under a multi-layered shield encompassing space, sea, land, and air. In space are the U.S. SBIS satellites. They detect launch heat signatures within seconds. They not only record the launch, but also calculate trajectories and send instant warnings to the commanders. At sea, the destroyers Aegis near Guam are equipped with SM-3 interceptors designed to destroy incoming missiles in space, and SM-6 capable of shooting down maneuvering hypersonic glide vehicles at lower altitudes in the atmosphere. On land, Guam is protected by a powerful defense system. The batteries intercept missiles during their re-entry phase into the atmosphere. Closer to the ground, Patriot PAC-3 systems form the last line of defense. Finally, F-22 Raptor and F-35 fighters take to the air to protect the president. Although they cannot intercept hypersonic missiles directly, they are capable of destroying launch platforms, neutralizing other threats, and binding the entire defense system into a cohesive whole. The rule is simple. Do not rely on a single shot to save the situation. Shoot as early as possible. Take more than one shot, and use every chance to stop the missile. The alarm signal comes in seconds. SBIS satellites detect launches and transmit data directly to Hawaii, Guam, and the Air Command 1 cabin. Inside the airplane, the crew receives a message. Maneuvering hypersonic missiles are approaching. The pilots sharply turn the massive airliner. It's not a fighter jet, but even a few degrees of deviation can throw off the course of a missile aimed directly ahead. Outside, escort fighters expand their positions. An AWACS reconnaissance aircraft clears the airspace for interceptors, while a tanker prepares to refuel the president's plane as soon as the immediate threat passes. If this turns into a chase throughout the night across the Pacific Ocean, 2 minutes after the start, destroyers east of Guam track incoming missiles. One missile rises almost vertically into the sky, tracing a long arc, a perfect target for the SM-3 interceptor. Launchers open fire, and interceptors rush into the night sky. Another missile flies lower, maneuvering side to side. It's a glider. 2 SM-6 interceptors launch upward, their boosters illuminating the night. Hitting such a fast and maneuverable target is unlikely, but you shoot anyway. Each shot is a chance to stop it. On the deck, sailors watch as their radar screens fill with dots. They can't see the missiles with their eyes, only the glowing trails on the screen. Each launch feels like a desperate gamble. 10 minutes later, the remaining missiles head towards Guam. THAAD crews launch several interceptors. One hits its target. The missile explodes in a bright blast, but another drops lower, evading THAAD radars. At that moment, the Patriot batteries open fire. The launchers quickly send interceptors into the sky, leaving bright trails as they rush towards fireballs falling from space. The odds are not in their favor. The Patriots are meant for ballistic missiles, not maneuvering gliders. But even a close strike, shockwave, or flying debris can knock one of the missiles off course. Inside Air Command Odin, the cockpit lights up like a Christmas tree, but all these alarms are bad news. Outside the cockpit window, it seems a meteor is falling directly towards them. The pilots tilt the plane as much as a large airliner can withstand, exceeding the limits for which no passenger aircraft was designed, but the only step that can save the situation. Metal strips tear away behind. Signal flares burst brightly. All this is meant to confuse missile sensors. In the command center, information comes in quickly and clearly. One missile has been intercepted. 2 are still approaching. Evasion. No one is trying to mitigate the situation. This is the closest case where the sitting president of the USA is under real-time threat. The escort understands this too. F-22 fighter pilots, designed for supersonic aerial combat, now watch fireballs falling from the sky, hoping that the interceptors on the ground will get to them first. From this perspective, the situation could unfold in 3 completely different ways. A narrow escape. The Patriot missile grazes the side of the fuselage. Or perhaps the SM-6 delivers a precise strike. In any case, the hypersonic warhead vanishes in a bright explosion. The Air Force One shakes from the shockwave but continues to fly. The dispatchers order the plane to take off over the Pacific Ocean to meet with the tanker. Meanwhile, in the USA, an E-4B aircraft, a kind of flying backup White House, is preparing in case the president needs assistance. The attempt fails in mere seconds due to several layers of defense. A tragedy. Each interceptor misses. The glider remains targeted and crashes into the 747 liner at hypersonic speed. In less than a second, the plane disappears. Parts fall into the ocean. But the U.S. government has a backup system. The vice president instantly becomes president. The nuclear briefcase with launch codes is destroyed, but another one is already with the vice president. Strategic forces raise their readiness level, but control over the military is not lost. The country takes a hit, but remains standing. You see it, damaged and desperate. The rocket misses by just a few meters, but the consequences are still devastating. Shrapnel tears off the engine. Holes puncture the fuselage. The 747 quickly falls, trying to maintain altitude. The crew announces an emergency descent, targeting Andersen Air Force Base in Guam if its runways are not yet destroyed by missile strikes. If Andersen is destroyed, options narrow down to small Pacific islands, Tinian, Saipan, or Wake. All old American airfields that can barely accommodate a damaged jumbo. The escort strengthens the formation. Fuel tankers are moving in for refueling, and the onboard medical team is fighting for people's lives. Survival, but only on the edge. Guam is not just a point on the map of the Pacific Ocean. It is a front line of American power in Asia. Long-range bombers fly there, submarines dock there, refueling tankers use it for fuel supply. If these runways are destroyed, even the surviving Air Force One may not find a safe place to land, and that is a real threat. The rocket doesn't even need to hit the target. Simply keeping the president airborne, moving between refueling tankers or transferring command to a backup E-4B aircraft can throw the entire system into chaos. No matter how the situation develops, whether it's the rescue of the Air Force One, its destruction, or a barely successful escape, the U.S. government will not collapse. If the president survives, power will continue to function without pause. If the president is lost, the vice president immediately takes over. Nuclear codes are being reset, orders keep coming in, and the military remains under control. This built-in stability is a form of protection. So, what scenario is most likely if China launches dozens of missiles at once? The defense may come under pressure, but this is not our scenario. We are talking about a small salvo, 2 or 3 rockets. The U.S. defense system will likely respond to this. Satellites detect the launch. Aegis-class ships fire first. THAAD and Patriot intercept the remaining rockets. Air Force One maneuvers, releasing flares and continuing its course. Each of these defensive lines is not perfect on its own, but together they increase the chances of survival. However, even such survival will not be easy. This will be a sharp turn. Shock waves will shake the cabin, possibly even hitting the engine. But the main point is this: the plane continues to fly. The president remains alive, and the chain of command is not broken. After all, the survival of Air Force One does not depend on the plane itself.